you the night my daughter went missing.
I'm Xerxes, and with me is Anish, the director of the new movie Searching, releasing on 3rd August 2018. It's a mental movie about a daughter gone missing and a father finding her through computer screens. So let's talk to Anish as to how a bunch of kids who made a movie independent of a film studio behind them premiered at Sundance and went on to have a nationwide release. Okay, so technology has been the base plate for a lot of what you've done as of now. And is this a trend which is going to continue? Is this like a lucky mascot thing that's working out for you?
Not really. You know, I think my goal has always been to make movies. You know, like real, like normal cameras, all that stuff. You know, those are the movies I kind of grew up on. So far, it's been a weird happenstance. Like it's always been the natural next step to tell technology and to use technology to frame a story. But now that Searching has come out. And now that it's come out in the capacity that's coming out, I feel like people are now a lot more interested in what I want to do other than this. And there's a lot more that I can do, I think. The next movie that we're making is definitively not a computer screen movie, for sure.
So, how intensive was the production for something like this? The amount of planning that must have gone into shuffling between screens. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're shuffling between screens through the movie?
Yeah, so basically, like, there's a number of computer screens and devices that we shuffle through. And we begin the film on the family's home computer, their XP computer in 2002, and or 2005. And like, baby Margot is setting up her account for the first time. And then our opening sequence is this like 7-minute montage that takes you through 16 years of this whole family's life, all told through the home computer. As websites get updated, as the daughter grows up, as the family grows up, as their relationship changes, as AIM improves, as she gets a Facebook account for the first time. It's a really emotional montage, and then it switches over to the dad's laptop screen, where we're going to stay for a long time until he gets into the daughter's laptop screen after she goes missing. So we're constantly using these computers as basically scene settings in a weird way, or at least like locations in which our scenes are the individual apps and websites that the kind of cursor shuffles between. So it's a very complicated workflow to put this all together, because there were just so many screens that we had to kind of keep in mind.
So was this very intensive to make? I'm guessing a bunch of amateur filmmakers are probably watching this who want to get into something like this, who like, okay, this is interesting, maybe we could do this at home. Could they do this at home?
They could do a version of it, yeah. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, we made this with 2 editors who I just went to film school with, me, the co-writer and director me, and then the other co-writer and producer Sev, and the producer Natalie. It was just 5 of us, so yeah, anyone can really do this. It takes a lot of work. A lot of ways this movie is a live-action movie inside of an animated movie. So we shot the live-action movie and then put it inside of the animated movie, which is the computer screen element of it. The live-action part of it was shot with basically all the cameras that the footage in the world of the movie would be shot with. If it's supposed to be from a phone, let's shoot it on an iPhone. If it's supposed to be webcam footage, let's put a GoPro right behind the laptop screen and shoot it there. If it's news camera footage, let's use news camera footage. Let's use drone cameras. Let's use mini DV tapes. Let's use camcorders. Let's use whatever that in the film it's being shot on. All of it is done on a computer made to make it feel like we actually shot the film. So really easy stuff. Yeah,
that explains the 2 years in post-production and the 6 months of planning before that.
Yeah.
How did you manage to get John to come on board for this? Was it a task, considering he's gone from Harold to American Pie to Star Trek, and now he's on the computer screen?
Yeah, no, it's tough, yeah, and it's not easy, because it's this every single step of this process, no matter whether we were talking to the production designer or the actor or the sound person, we're always having to sell them on this movie, because it's so hard to talk about this movie. It's such a complicated, complex, everybody involved inherently is taking a massive leap of faith. So to get John, I try to sell him as much on my passion and as much as my vision as I could, but at the end of the day, so much credit goes to John, goes to Deborah Messing for taking that leap of faith with us, because ultimately every single person on the crew had to trust one another, hold each other's hands, and walk into a dark cave and sort of expect that somebody else knew where they were going. We learned over the course of a year and a half that, based on the number of unique challenges, that at least one person on the crew could tackle the next thing. So it was like going through a cave, and we realized like somebody had a tool that could get us to the next thing, and we'd cycle back, and then like somebody else would have another tool and we'd bring that person forward. So it's a really group effort, because no one person had any complete idea of how to make this movie, and I'm glad as a team we pulled it off.
Okay, but when you went to Sundance, when you premiered there, you guys literally made the movie by yourself, like,
Yeah, it was a small team. Yeah.
and then suddenly you were bought overnight, and
Yeah.
this movie is getting a worldwide release.
Yeah, yeah, isn't that crazy?
John and everyone came into the movie not knowing it was going to be this big a deal, but it happened. So what
Yeah.
was
It was
the
emotional.
reaction?
Yeah, it was emotional. It was actually, it wasn't emotional that night because that night I think I was just like, what is happening? You know, just like this wave of like, all of a sudden, you know, at 6:30 p.m. we premiere the film, January 21st, 2018. I'll remember that day forever. And by 6:45 a.m. the next morning, Sony Pictures had bought the film for $5 million. And like it was like, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a huge deal, but I don't feel anything yet because like I've been drinking at this after party. I just went to a cabin, and people were throwing out some really big numbers, and like I don't know if this is all real. Like maybe this isn't a big deal. And as I've thought about it more, and just like the scale of the fact that a studio, which rarely buys films at film festivals, is giving it a studio-wide release as if this movie was made from a studio in the beginning, let alone the fact that a bunch of kids made this. But it's awesome, and I'll wear that with a lot of pride for the rest of my life, that a bunch of kids were able to sort of like prove an industry wrong in a lot of ways.
Breaking conventions, breaking molds,
Yeah,
a lot of
wonderful,
things.
yeah.
And in the movie, after his daughter goes missing, he's technically stalking his daughter's profile, if I may say
Yeah.
so, to find out his
No,
friends. Do you have personal experience in this?
I
as
have
to
no
how
personal experience
So
in this.
how much expertise came in? Like suddenly, Facebook has become like a detective thing,
Yeah.
which is being used in the tool.
You know, okay, listen, I feel like I have got some incredible stalking abilities. I'll be real. Like, I pride myself on my ability to, like, have a few keywords about somebody and be like, I can find that person. None of that really came into play here for this film, but, you know, there was a lot of things that we learned. We oftentimes, you know, the dad is breaking into his daughter's laptop to look for clues to find her, and his first challenge in the film on his daughter's laptop is to gain access to all of her accounts because it's all locked out.
Right.
And we literally were like, how do we do this? And we're like, well, we should figure it out by trying to hack into each other's stuff. So we basically like opened our laptops and we're like, let's do it. And eventually we found a really cool way into the story, for the story to work, but we found a way into each other's accounts that we ended up using directly in the story. So a lot of it's based on actual practice, but it was very harmless.
Considering you guys were a bunch of kids literally who
Yeah,
started
yeah,
this
yeah.
off, there's a lot of content creators around who will probably be watching this. This is going up on Facebook. And India is booming with creators, like people across YouTube, people across Facebook making videos. Something for them, like how, like, do you encourage them to try something like this? Do you encourage them to, how do they follow their passions? Because everyone wants to make content
Yeah.
right now.
Well, I would definitely say, I mean, this is my advice, but I would definitely say not to try this. And the reason I say that is because the thing that has given me the most sort of boost in my career, I guess, from the age of 23, that has always allowed me to kind of go on to the next thing, has always been by trying to do something no one's done before. That was always like my motto. It was just like, if I tell an emotional story, a personal story, a thrilling story, a gripping story, that means everything to me artistically, but if I do it in a way no one's done before, there's something about it no one has done before, people will notice.
Right.
And I think as an aspiring filmmaker, someone who's trying to break into the industry, in a lot of ways I still feel the same way, but your job is to tell stories that are meaningful to you and emotional to you and exciting for people to watch, as much as it is to set your name apart. You know, and I think for me, the thing that has proven clearly that has worked is that everything that I've done has always been weird in a certain way. But that weirdness has also been the main attraction for it because it's drawn people into the content that I'm making, but ultimately the emotion and the story is what keeps people there. Whether it was a Google Glass video that was like, oh, POV movie, that's weird, but at the end of the day it's just about a son and a kid. Yeah, like, or son and a mom. But like, if you can find something to set yourself apart, people take notice to that. And if what you are saying on top of that is of quality, people, I think, will want to work with you. And to me, that's the only advice that I can give is like, be smart. Don't just be creative, but be smart about the stuff that you make.
Wow. And one final message for
Yeah.
people who are going to be watching this movie in theaters on the 3rd of August.
Yeah.
Why should they? What are they going to get out of it?
In an era where every single movie that comes to theaters is like, we can already predict what it's going to have, the number of explosions that it's going to have, the number of superheroes that it's going to have. This is a movie that was made by a bunch of kids that has somehow stood out, that is an original film that, you know, it has these crazy, crazy, crazy new parameters to it. And at the end of the day, despite its unconventionality, is going to be something thrilling and hopefully at the edge of your seat and a popcorn movie for friends and family to enjoy.
Please go watch the movie. I'm going to be one of the first ones to watch it in a theater too. And I'm looking forward to what's happening after this, man. I have a feeling you're going to blow up big time.
Hey, that would be awesome. I would really love that too. But who knows?
See you, man.
See you, man. Yeah.